pretty. Come along. Hey garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden. Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I am saving some of my seeds for next year without having to buy them new again from a seed supplier. So the ones that I'm going to be collecting today are Bupleurum, which is right here, and also Hummingbird Coral Nymph Salvia. Now, the time is approaching where we will be collecting seeds from more plants, different plants, in hopes to save them for next year, again, without having to buy them. So I'm gonna bring you down here in a second, but first I wanna tell you how I get supplies to do this. The first step is finding some seed pouches or something you can put your seed in. You could probably just use a plastic Ziploc bag if you wanted to. I prefer the paper kind. I think I got these on Amazon. You can get them in a plethora of colors, and it's just a little pouch similar to what you'd find from a seed company with a lip that if you lick it or wet it, it'll close shut. So first things first, we need to write what seeds we're going to put in each pouch. So I'm going to use a garden marker to write the name on it so that it will not come off or smudge. My first one is Hummingbird Coral Nymph Salvia. And my next one is Bupleurum. Now that I've got my seed packets ready to go, I'm going to come out into my garden and look at what I can harvest seeds from. Usually it's a plant that has already flowered or bloomed and has started to dry. So if you look at this patch of Bupleurum, you'll see that these are more brown, almost looking a little dead-like. And if you come close here, you can actually see the seed heads starting to form, and if I bristle it with my thumb, you'll see they fall out onto my hand. Those are good seeds for next year. Now this one is already dried. It is in its seeds form, but let me show you what it looks like right before this. So here we've got one that has already bloomed, but on the inside, the seed head is just starting to form. It's still green. It's not dry to the point where if I brush my thumb across it, it flakes out with seeds. So this is the stage right before you would harvest them. You would let it go all the way to dry seed where you can actually harvest it from. This is the stage that happens right after the bloom. Now each plant is going to look a little different in regards to what it looks like when it's ready to harvest its seed, but that's the same basic principle throughout, is that it will bloom, then it'll start to dry and develop seed heads, and then it'll be ready to harvest. So let's go take a look at the Hummingbird Coral Nymph Salvia and see what that looks like. So here are two Hummingbird Coral Nymph Salvias that are getting toward the end of their bloom. So right now, these are toward the end of the bloom. There's still some flowers on it, but there's some that the flowers have already went away. So that is where they're going to start to develop seeds. Now if I have been deadheading these right after they bloom, a new flush of blooms would likely come up and it wouldn't go to seed. So if you want it to go to seed, you don't want to deadhead, you want to leave the plant to actually develop the seed. So you might be still cutting back plants and getting another flush. We're still not at the end of the season yet, but it just depends what you're looking for, what you're doing in your garden. For these, this one here is now getting ready to dry, so I'm going to show you an example of some of these seeds that will pop out. So let's look at the difference in two here. We've got this one that has already bloomed, but is still a little green, so it's still forming its seeds. And then we've got this one back here that is completely dried, and it's brown, looks dead. So I'm going to cut this one and show you what the seeds look like. So here I've got my stem, and I'm just going to crinkle and see if we find any seeds in here. Where are you? I just had 3 or 4 this morning from this one. So that one was apparently too far gone. I've gotten another one here that has one little bloom on it, but if I start crunching around on some of the blooms, there we go. All those little black seeds, that is what I'm looking for to come out. So each plant is going to vary a little differently in the time that it is ready. But once you start sprinkling out those seeds, you know you've got the right time for that plant. So this right here is from one stem. That's a good amount of seeds from one stem. So I'm going to keep going, but know that you don't always have to harvest from several stems. You can get a good bounty from just one. So keep your eye open. So what I'm going to do now is take my little seed packet that's labeled with the right label on it and take my seeds and stuff the envelope. Here we go. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to harvest some more, and then I'm going to keep this in a cool, dry space and make sure that it is sealed shut. In they go. Jackpot. Easy peasy. So what I can do is collect these, and if I want to let them dry out and collect seeds later, I can, or I can just toss them if I'm not worried about it. Or if you just want to find how many seeds are in there, hold your dead-headed pile and just press on them. You see all those black little dots that are falling out? Those are all seeds. And then if you clear the bigger brush off, I've got a ton more seeds. So I'm just gonna leave them there and then come and bag them a little later. I just wanted to see how much I could get out, and sure enough, that works. Now back to Bupleurum. I want to make a quick point about Bupleurum. Do you have to save your seeds from every plant? Not necessarily if it's a big reseeder, which Bupleurum happens to be here in my zone 5B. I planted maybe 8 plants, 8 little Bupleurum seeds last year. They grew, I let them go to seed. They seeded everywhere by themselves. And this patch came back this year. I mean, it is 3/4 of this bed huge. I didn't plant any Bupleurum this year. This was all self-seeded. So, do I really need to collect some of the seed for myself? No, not really, because it's already self-seeded everywhere. Now, if I want to contain it, I definitely should get out here and cut all of this before it goes to seed, so it's not seeding itself anymore. But if I want to collect it, give it to a friend, or plant it somewhere else, I certainly could. So let's see what that looks like. So this whole section here is ready to be collected for seed. You can see there's just a ton of seeds in Bupleurum. So here I've got my Bupleurum. I'm just gonna take it and wrinkle it right in there. Obviously there are a lot of seeds per plant here. That is one of the reasons it reseeded itself so well and came back so strong. Again, I'm in zone 5B, so this has by far been my most prolific reseeder that came back and overwintered really well. So if you're in zone 5B and want a filler flower that overwintered really well, this is what I recommend. Now in that short amount of time I just showed you, I've got a ton of seeds in here. If you can see in there, there's loads and loads, and I just picked maybe 3 or 4 petals worth. Even more. A lot of seeds in Bupleurum. Okay, I've got my Bupleurum in here. Hear all those seeds? If you don't want it to self-seed, make sure you're coming out and cutting it, deadheading it before it goes to seed if you're in my zone 5B or higher, because as I said, it's a prolific reseeder, self-seeder. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut all of this back. Let's do it. definitely sweating now. And that'll be it for today that I've got that cleared out, and I've got my 2 seed packets full, and I've also got the rest of the season to collect more if I want. So you can do this with a variety of different plants. Sweet peas, of course, is another one we love to save from, so I'm going to do that in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. So that'll be it today, everybody. Thank you for coming along. Drop any questions in the comments below. Also, let me know what's your favorite plant or flower to save seed from. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next one. Very happy planting. Bye.